I had to first realize what I was doing that was giving you a negative about me, that I didn't love
Perception, yeah.
you or had no care about you. That for me was hard. I'm like, oh, how could that even happen? But I had to look at myself. Well, how have I been responding? How have I been available? How have I nurtured this relationship? Especially we're family, and to me, a family is should be a close relationship. I know it's not for everybody, and I'm still working on some of those areas of my family that have kind of slipped away. But I desire to have that closeness again. So that was the first thing, and that was me, because I get to control how I respond to my family members, the people that God has put around my life, my friends, my neighbors, whatever. So that's just about me. I can't expect everyone else to change so that
Right.
I can like them or interact with them or whatever. So that was the first thing, was figuring out how I was putting off a vibe that was not approachable. And that was hard for me to realize.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Splintered Grace. I'm Tina Frank, and I'm a mature Christian conservative here to have a conversation with my beautiful co host.
Hi, everyone. So glad you could join us. I'm Bonnie Violet. I'm a transgender queer spiritual drag artist and a digital chaplain. And yeah, glad that we're here.
Awesome.
And
How was your week?
my week's been pretty good. It's been like, I feel like just one thing after the other. I'm still in the same place I was last week, which is cute. This is
Yay.
my last night here. I am in my little polka dots.
I love.
It's just a new dress I got that I wore last night for drag bingo and got my nails done. So
So
there's
fun.
been a few changes, I guess, since last week. How
That
about
is
you?
awesome. I'm in a new place also. That is, I guess, new for me. I know you're repeating a second place, but for me, I'm with my cousin in Chandler, Arizona, just hanging out and helping her through just some time together. She's had a surgery this week, and so I'm just here to help her out. And I think I'm having more fun than we are working. But hey, don't tell anybody.
Right. That's good. That's good. You should be able to have
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, so cool. It's been a great week. Pretty uneventful. I kind of like it like that sometimes.
Yeah. Well, we have a really big topic today. I think I've been I feel like I've been more unsure of what we should talk about the last couple of weeks, but like this week I was really excited thinking about our topic, which is
Yeah.
angels and demons and spirits.
Oh
Oh my.
my. We should have
Right.
practiced that. No, just kidding.
Right. Yeah. Well, we were like trying to talk about like I've been doing these little gimmicky kind of titles, and so this went right along with us talking about like kind of. I mean, this first kind of came up for us when we were talking about evil,
Yeah.
and what our thoughts were on evil. So I'm excited for our topic, and for folks who have not been with us before, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch at the moment. We love for folks to interact with us, ask questions, leave comments for us. We'll engage with you as much as we can if you are with us live. If you're listening to us after the fact, either way, we'd love to hear from you, get your comments, that sort of stuff as well. We also could be listened to on a podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts at Splintered Grace. Now that we got that all done, right?
Yeah. I'll say, wow, our commercial's getting longer and longer.
It seems so. Hang on. Gotta get
Awesome.
it. So back to evil.
Well, this is an interesting topic for us because when we were just having just a conversation, we enjoy talking, and I'm very excited to hear about what Bonnie's doing as he travels around. And I asked, I think this is how this started. You can correct me if I'm wrong, about the spirituality and and the presence of evil and the presence of light, and we had a really great conversation about that. So we thought we'd share some of that with you guys this week, and we would love to hear your guys' input. We had a very interesting conversation that I don't think we quite finished, because I think there's some other things that we can still talk about, or this may be one of those ongoing conversations that we have. But we determined that we have a different idea of some of these things. For me, I do believe that there is good and evil. And I do believe that we can interact on either side of that on a day-to-day basis. So that's kind of a nutshell before we break in there. How about you, Bonnie?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's probably, I shared, I kind of have a hard time with the idea of evil, and especially like pure evil. Maybe I can get behind the idea of having like evil-ish kind of like, I don't know if evil was like a barometer or a scale. Like maybe people could have like do evil things or things that have evil, that are evil. But I think for me, I have a hard time. I feel like evil is like, with evil, there's a deliberate and intentional, like, I guess, intent, like, like to do wrong, I guess, for lack of a better way. I was talking with a friend earlier, and he was saying that evil is like, that without God, like where there is no God, right? Where there is no, or where God is not. What's your thought on that?
Well, that's interesting. Well, I think that's a very interesting thought and something I'll consider. But I feel like I can still have evil moments in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I can be influenced by evil thoughts, evil desires, even sometimes respond with an action that's evil or not pleasing. And I don't know if evil and demon are interchangeable, but I think potentially, we have all these. I always picture the little devil and the little angel that I grew up with, always seen on the right and the left hand shoulder. But I think every time I make a determination on how I respond with somebody, I'm choosing between good and evil, especially if it's something that I can do a negative or a positive. So in that, and I know that I'm a Christian. I know that God lives in me. So those evil thoughts still come up out of me. So I think that would be my only experience that I would think maybe be a challenge for me to receive that completely.
And so do you feel like evil is something that like you choose, or that's like that you like it's a choice? Or do you feel like it's like in the sense of like almost like I'm going to choose, say, this evil thing versus this good thing? Or is there a way that there's some sort of spirit or energy or whatever that can kind of influence that evil aspect or that evil coming out of you, or, things like that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think there's both, actually. I think that the more I entertain those evil thoughts or those evil habits or things, I think that becomes more of who I am. And it gives opportunity to have more and more evil or demonic presence, or what that might look like. I think to us, and it's when we don't allow that we hinder that that I think we're at our best. But none of us are perfect, so we all have those things. But we do get to choose. I think I've shared this before, but I think one of our greatest superpowers as humans is our ability to choose. We get to choose everything in our lives. We can go through different circumstances that people could put us in, but we get to choose how to respond. And if we can remember that, and this is a quote from the Bible, that we don't battle against flesh and blood, but against spirits and principalities of the air, it makes it a whole lot easier to make a positive choice and not hold a grudge or hold a negative response to the person that may have put you in a bad situation. So I think that, I think it's both. And I think the more prone you are to engaging in I don't want to gauge it, you said earlier, gauging the little evils, I think the bigger intent and the bigger evil or even demonic outcomes can become more prevalent.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I think the thing I'm like, I've been kind of spinning around on it, because I think a lot of the times for me, it's like I try to go with what I've experienced, or trying to understand what I've come to experience or hear other people talk about. And one of the things that I feel like I've struggled the most with, even though I say I'm a spiritual person, well, what does that mean if I have like this uncertainty about the spiritual world that might exist in more of like I think when I think of that, I think of something more paranormal, like this kind of like world or dimension next to us or around us. And so I guess the thing that I'm curious about, and I think, is our connection okay?
I can hear you and see you just fine. I don't know if you can hear and see me, and I don't have any things on my computer saying that I have a bad connection.
Okay, cool. I mean, it seems like our sounds are okay. It just it's kind of slow on your end, but I don't know if it could be my end or your end. I think we're still communicating either way.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I guess I was, the thing that comes to mind for me more recently. So I've had more of a fear, I think, of that idea of there being energies or spirits that are outside of us that maybe aren't human. Maybe they were human once, I'm not sure. But how these things, one, that they exist, but how do they impact us, and how do we, how do they deal with us? I often love watching psychic haunting like shows where like somebody was haunted and they invite a psychic to come go with them to where they were haunted, and the psychic's able to kind of talk with them about like what that spirit is or was in that particular situation and what kind of message was trying to be conveyed, or things like that. And it I don't know, just to me, like I have a hard time I don't know, I guess the idea of thinking about that, then it feels like, I don't know. Do you have something to say? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
On.
Well, I choose not to watch those kinds of shows because they can be scary to me, because I do think that the spirits and principalities are real. And I think when we expose ourselves, we open ourselves up to have an encounter more like what you described in the beginning. And I don't choose to have an encounter like that. I want to continue to I just want to continue to grow and to be lovely. I don't know how else to say that. And kind. You know what I mean? I want to overcome all these evil, that thoughts being a start with good. And I've had some extreme experiences as I've been growing up. And so I feel like I am speaking from some experience, and I don't want to expose myself to that again. And so I don't want to do that. But I do believe that there are good and bad spirits, and I want to side on the good. And the Bible talks a lot about it in lots of different areas. But one of those is that, in the event that you clear out all those evil, if you don't fill it with good, that evil is going to come back and it's going to bring more with you, which with them, which allows us to have a bigger challenge. That I don't know a ton about this. I know what the Bible says. I know what my beliefs are, and I know my own experience. But with the evil, that's what I experience, and I try to be very conscious of anything negative. Evil spirit or not, I don't want it to come out of my mouth. If it's going to be prone to take me to an evil direction, I don't want it, because I don't want to deal with. I don't want to be a part of any of that.
Hey y'all, it's me again, Bonnie Violet. I just wanted to take a second and thank my Patreon members. Patreon members are folks who contribute on a monthly basis anywhere from $3 to $150 a month to support the work of a queer chaplain. Big shout out to Victoria Thompson, Jason Brandt, Brandon Stanton, Kim Silva, Brandy McCarg, Randy Sandknop, Bob Kaiser, Joey Heckmeister, Violet Rhiannon, Gabriel, Jonathan, Petrick, and Todd Atkins Whitley. Thank you so much for your continued contributions. And if you're interested in joining the Patreon, just check the link in the description. Go to patreon.com/Bonnie Violet. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I feel like I've had some like experiences over my lifetime
Hmm.
where I would probably call them, label them spiritual.
Okay.
Sometimes I think
Are we
good.
talking about good or evil?
I think both. I think the
Okay.
ones that stand out to me though are the ones that scared me.
Mm.
I sometimes wonder if I needed to be scared about the particular circumstances, like maybe like I don't know, sometimes I don't know, like is it mental? Is it spiritual? Is it, something else
Well,
going on? But
yeah.
I've had this reoccurring situation ever since I can remember of where I will be asleep at night and then I will wake up, like I'll just wake up right as I feel something about to get on me. And
Ah,
then
you can
something.
feel it tangibly.
Yeah,
Yes.
so the thing would jump on me as soon as my eyes opened, and it would hold me down, and the pressure and everything would hold me down. I wouldn't be able to see it. I'd be paralyzed. I wouldn't be able to speak or move or anything. And then I would just be like freaked out. And then eventually I would be able to get out. Like I would usually say something to God. I'd usually pray to God and
Mm.
some um, and then it would stop. And it happened off and on. And there's periods of my times where it was time in my life where it was happening a lot. And one night it happened when a guy that I was seeing was actually sleeping in bed next to me,
Hmm.
and he didn't necessarily see anything, but he experienced it with me. Like he was freaked out. He was like,
Wow.
what? He was like, what just happened? Like, what was that? Like, because I was so freaked out, and I think he saw me in that freak out spot trying to speak, or was paralyzed, in that space. And um, I I've been always kind of a little curious about like why or when. I've always thought it was more demon, like it
Hmm.
was like a dark demon or a just something negative. This last October, though, I had it happen again, and it started happening a
Same
lot.
one.
Yeah,
Same. Okay.
same thing, except for it seemed to be happening even more. And then I was feeling as if it was with me even when I wasn't asleep, or like I was feeling like it was with me all the time, which was really kind of freaking me out. And it was the first time that I thought maybe it was more of maybe a mental, like
Mm.
a mental thing that was going on for me, that it wasn't spiritual in nature, that maybe it was just, something going on in my mind.
Yeah.
I thought maybe I was having night terrors. I thought maybe it was like a trauma response to, things that have happened to me that I didn't have control over.
Hmm.
And it's just kind of like a night terror, more of a mental health situation. And I remember it was freaking me out, and I didn't necessarily think, I knew that I was scared of it, but I didn't feel like I needed to be scared of it. Do you know what I mean? Like I knew that
Okay. Yeah.
I was stronger than it. I didn't need to be worried about it. But if I wasn't mindful, I guess, or if I wasn't, it's like if you don't,
Yeah. Yeah.
I could have succumbed to it, so to speak, or to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could have been in fear, but I knew I needed to find a way to get out of it.
Did you find a way?
Well, yeah. So I eventually, I actually started doing. That's when I started working with my inner child, with some of my mental health, like childhood stuff, and I started working with my stuffed animal, that is a representation of my inner child. Like for folks who do like mental health, and people talk about parenting your child in a way that, like, there just were things that happen when you're a child that stick with you, especially if you don't tend to them, I guess. And for me,
Mm.
I think some of it was coming up. And so I think I don't know, I felt like it was a way of like telling me that I needed to address this thing. And so
Okay.
I started to kind of like try to take care and acknowledge those parts of myself that were neglected or harmed when I was little, that I never got taken care of,
I
for
gotcha.
whatever reason, whether it was my parents or, even myself, was able to take care of some of those things. And so I think it caused me that fear, that situation, whether it was mental, spiritual, whatever, it caused me to be like, okay, I need to figure this out. And now I have this stuffed animal named Bonnie Violet. It's a little seahorse, and it's my little.
Oh,
Um, I don't remember my childhood, so I can't do the. I just can't picture myself as a child, and so
okay.
a lot of people with inner child work, they'll think of their smaller, their child, and they'll like give it a hug, and they'll take care of it and acknowledge it in ways that it needed or whatever. And so I've been doing that with my stuffed animal, and as soon as I started doing that, I haven't had any problems with it. Like
Oh,
every night I put her on my neck and I tell her good night. And when I say my prayers to God, I talk to her too. And it, believe me, it felt really weird, and it kind of sounds weird to even talk about it now, but
yeah,
I don't even care, because ever since I started doing that, I just feel so much better. I still have some of the fears, I guess, of like
yeah.
the
Do
things, but
you still feel or see anything?
I do. I, f-
Yeah,
I feel things all the time, which is why I don't like to sleep in the dark. Or when did we
yeah.
get talking about? I wasn't planning
Oh,
on.
I'm sorry. We were just kind of went there.
No, it totally went there. I just wasn't expecting to be like revealing this
Uh,
part for me. But I mean, even here, like I sleep with the light on,
yeah,
and that's something that I've been doing for a while. I was talking with my therapist about it, and I think part of it also might be just that I don't know that I feel safe in a lot of places, and
yeah,
maybe at night when I'm alone, that's the time that I can actually acknowledge that I'm scared. Uh,
yeah.
I don't know. We've been talking about it a little bit. I wanted to acknowledge Pyro, sorry, Planet. Hello. Thank you for joining us and saying hello this evening. I would Piero T Planet, I think.
Yeah, it looked like Piero to me also.
There you go. I don't know. Like whenever I try to read on this thing, I it's like I can't even spell that or speak the
Uh,
reading on
gotcha.
here.
So you feel like the steps that you've taken then have been helpful?
Well, I mean, I think in that extreme way, I don't think it's and that's the whole thing. It's like I feel like I have this fear of something that I don't necessarily need to be afraid of.
Gotcha.
And again, like whether it is like spirit or mental or whatever, like I just don't like having to choose to turn on my light.
Yeah.
To
No,
go to
I get it. I get it. I get it. So when we talk about spirituality, um, are you referencing things like that, or are you referencing something different? Because
I
I don't feel like it's a negative when we talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I've allowed my I don't know that I've really allowed my thinking to go there. And I think that's why I'm freaked out a little bit, because my relationship with God and my experience with even like faith and all that stuff it's more come from practical experience. It's a more
Yeah.
tangible kind of like experience and connection. So this idea that there's something in between, which I believe, I believe I have a spirit, and me connecting with my spirit is what
Yes. Yes.
animates me and elevates me and like does all these sorts of things. And we all have that, and we can connect with each other. I think I can get behind that stuff. I think, I don't know, it just seems like this whole nother extra world that I don't know that I've really opened up. I'm scared to open myself up to.
Well,
Um, yeah.
I think it's good to have a pause, because I don't want to open myself up to evil spirits. I don't want to be encompassed by that. I don't want to be um, exposed even to that. I try to stay on the opposite side where the Holy Spirit lives, because just like when you said you cried out to God in that moment, I've had similar experiences and have done the same. And
Mhm.
I realize now, just I was laughing with cousin Jean today. I was we were up doing stuff for her uh, regiment, her healing regiment. Sorry, I couldn't get the word healing regiment through the night, and so we went back to sleep this morning early, about 4:30, and I slept just long enough to have a dream. It was a ridiculous dream. It was just a little bit scary. But then I realized in my dream, well, this is a dream. I can wake myself up.
Right, right.
And so I woke myself up. So I'm like, okay, I want to be able to always wake myself up. I want to be able to choose the right thing because it was going sideways fast in my dream.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I'm going to wake myself up. And so I kind of equate that with, when we're in a state where we're exposed or in a state where we're not grounded, we can go sideways and we don't realize we can be woke up and we can be or come to. I could have woke up after experiencing whatever that was. It could have totally destroyed my day. I could
Yeah.
have woke up afraid, sweating, angry, whatever. And
Mhm.
that's the things that I don't want to happen to myself or the people around me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I had went almost my whole like I'd went a really long time since like it became a more recent thing when I became scared of the dark again. I was scared of the dark until my
Yeah.
my late 20s, but like it's been coming back. I wanted to also acknowledge
Mm,
Molly Walker. Thanks for joining us.
thanks,
Molly
Molly.
says, thank you guys for talking about this. I feel so totally vulnerable when sleeping open to all the dimensions.
Yeah. It's going to be sound silly, but I'm just going to share anyway because we're being vulnerable.
Mhm.
So, when I first had my experiences with going to sleep and not having good dreams, it was scary to me. It was freaking me out at first. I thought it was because I was watching scary movies, so I stopped doing that. But I used to say that prayer that we were taught when we were kids. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord, I don't even know if I can remember it. If I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. But I used to pray that because I was like, and in between the lines, I was like, I'm afraid to go to sleep. I'm afraid to go to sleep. Protect me while I go to sleep. Those were the kinds of things that I was saying. But that prayer that I had been taught when I was a little girl was my
Mhm.
starting point. As I have matured and I've grown, I've realized those moments in prayer are what sustain me in my sleep. And
Yeah.
they protect me, and understanding how this works and understanding the authority that I have because I love Jesus and because the Holy Spirit lives in me, just like you were talking about, you knew you could overpower it. That power exercises because He's there taking care of it for me. I've asked, I've petitioned, and it's there.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think for me for a long time, I think that balance is I think sometimes I let that negative energy, the negative spirits, however way you want it,
mhm.
I think it caused me to close up and it caused me to
Yeah,
build these walls. And I think I got to a space in which then I didn't even let the good in, or it
yeah,
became even really hard for the good to get in, right? And so
yeah,
I
exactly.
with my journey in particular, I feel like I'm really blossoming. I'm really opening up and I'm really just letting, like I'm really letting myself out and just being open.
Yeah,
And I think in doing that, I'm, I don't know, I guess that it's just bringing up this fear that if I'm open to that, then also the negative, like I'm also open then to not so great things, I guess. I don't know. I think that's where,
see, that's based on exposure.
yeah, it's
That's
probably just
based
a
on exposure.
growth thing. It's
Yeah.
like, sorry, go ahead. Talk
No,
more.
I'm just encouraging you. That's based on exposure. When we allow ourselves to engage in things that aren't positive for us, things that aren't going to be honoring to the spirit, then it can continue to seek us out. The evil wants to divide and conquer. And so when you were describing that you kind of recessed into yourself, you kind of got lost in there. You didn't know if you didn't want to break free. That's real. That is really real. If you can get over so far to the negative, so far to the evil side, it's hard for the good to get in.
Yeah.
It's hard for it to get in there. So what I found is I don't expose myself. Like I don't watch paranormal movies, and maybe that's something little people would say because I know it's fake or whatever. But you know what? It's too real to me.
Mhm.
So I'm not doing that. I was in high school and dating when they had all those movies, Poltergeist and Freddy Krueger and Friday the 13th. Oh, horrible, horrible stuff. And I had to stop watching that. And when they've made their resurrection and come back around during the Halloween time, no, that
Yeah.
is not my exposure. I don't want to be exposed there, because for me, it's too real. It's just too real. And if maybe I'm too sensitive. I don't know. But for me, it opens up all these things, memories of night terrors is a good word to say it, memories of feelings and experiences that I had. I don't want to relive all that. I'm in a place of victory, and I don't want to be exposed to any of that. Not that the Holy Spirit wouldn't protect me, but why do that? Why
Mm.
go back around and redo all of that stuff when I'm already on this side of victory? On this side of victory, though, I need to be sensible, and I need to make sure that those little tiny things, I'm a mature Christian, but I'm not perfect, and I have a whole lot to learn about this area, especially. But I know that if I give just a little, it makes way for more to come. So I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to say was that just to like is like I haven't been like in evil. I just feel like I was in that space of not receiving all that was available to me. So like I wasn't saying like I think because I wasn't I wasn't susceptible to any of it for a while. I don't know that I grew that much spiritually or wasn't super in at least connected with that. But I think I've become just more curious about the spiritual realm and world. I think I'm tired of running from it or just like kind of being scared of it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been trying to not be scared anymore. And there's also like I've been, like the last few years or whatever, I've done more prayer and things like that. And oftentimes I'll pray and I will say, I'll sometimes, I'll bring in people that I know that have died. Like I'll know that they're with me, or I'll feel their presence, or I will ask that only well spirits or good energies or things that like, I don't know if people would call them angels or whatever, kind of surround me and be with me. Or unwell things, stay out of at least my room. But there's a part of me that feels even bad. And I don't know if that's like my whatever, but I feel bad. The idea, like some of us are unwell and some spirits are unwell. So do they deserve not to be?
What do you mean? What do you mean unwell?
I know, right? Well, I think that's my hard time of saying that anything is evil or bad or wrong, but just like not at their best, or they're succumb to depression or anger or hurt or any of those sorts of things that I think can cause us not to be our spirits not to be as lifted and animated in the ways that we're trying to, I guess.
Okay. Well, I think that people are different than spirits. And I think that people can be unwell. And I think that we're all on a journey to find our purpose and to find fulfillment, right? So that comes from a journey, but the only truth is the truth of who we are and our purpose and is in Christ. Is what my Bible says. And so I don't want it to, and it says that I want to say this right and choose my words carefully. I believe that the Holy Spirit that lives in me has authority over any demonic thing or evil thing around me. Mm-hmm. And I believe that if I ask, that it's taken care of. Mm-hmm. But if I continue to go back into that space once it's already been done, believe me, God will come in after me. The Holy Spirit will come in after me if I ask again. But he's also not going to make me stay out of there because I have the free will. So then I have to remind myself, so why am I choosing this again, this state of fear, this state of brokenness, this state of unwellness, instead of what I've had here on this victorious side with the Holy Spirit? Does that make sense at all?
Yeah. I get what you're saying. Tina Johnson, another fellow family member.
Hey.
She says, holding heart space for God raises us to the cherished bliss of faith. All negative bounces away. Fear can make you feel unworthy. Yeah, I think that's a lot of what I mean, because I feel like, no, like I'm connected with God. I'm seeking God. I have that sort of like comfort and understanding, I guess. And yet sometimes I have these fears, right? And
Yeah.
there's like this belief that sometimes I'm not supposed to be afraid if I'm really, if I really got God, then
Yeah.
I should be afraid, And so I think sometimes I've gotten better about that with my thinking. But I think, there's something like, oh, well, you're doing it wrong, or there's some sort of like, I don't know, there's something awry. But I think oftentimes, fear, just like a lot of things, and pain, it's information. It's
Yeah.
it's a it's just little jolts, if you will, to say, hey, like, notice this thing, or pay attention, or
Yeah.
there's something around. I don't know.
Well, just
And
let me encourage you. And if I apologize if I came across as there's a right way or a wrong way or whatever, because there's not. I mean, we're each uniquely made by God for a purpose, and He's going to come to our rescue whenever we call out to Him. So no doubt. But the engagement we have with evil um, is something that we can choose to do or not to do. But here's the thing: when we start going more towards our purpose and towards our good, the evil is going to seek us out because they don't want us to succeed. That evil wants to keep us contained in this space of torment, of torture, of chaos, of anger, whatever you want to call it, to be outside of that peace that comes from progressing on our journey and fulfilling our purpose. Say if I just decided today, stop, I'm not going to do anything else. I'm not going to talk to anyone else about love, about having a relationship with someone that they've been at bay from, and I'm not going to do that anymore. Evil has no reason to come after me because I'm not doing anything. Why would they? They've stopped my purpose. They've stopped what I'm doing. They've stopped my kindness or whatever it is I want to put it under. But if I'm going to pursue this, then I'm going to probably have some challenges ahead of me. Maybe even through some of the temptations that I thought I had overcome. Evil can come in temptations that are going to hinder us. If I'm a drug addict, it could come in the fact of someone that I love and respect would offer me something that I shouldn't have. That to me is an evil that's coming into my space, that I love this person, I want to participate because I love them, but I can't. And so I need to be cautious. So if you're experiencing some of that evil presence coming after you, still that's what's happening. It's because we're moving in the right direction. It's because we're trying to fulfill the purpose that God created us for, and be encouraged, because every time you cry out to God, He's going to be right there for you.
Well, I know that's something that you often say. Sometimes it's like whenever, like even a lot of times when we first started this podcast and there's certain things that are going on well in my life or whatever, there'll be kind of this idea of like, the idea of like the devil's coming at you or evil's coming at you, right? Because you're doing well. What is that evil, I guess, that you like, where does that come from when you say that?
Well, it's outlined in the Bible. The devil is who I call him the enemy. Usually, if when you're having conversations, I'll say the enemy. To me, that's evil. It's the enemy. Whatever's keeping us from fulfilling our purpose, and it can be something as small or something huge. It can be something that's based on choice. It can be something that's life threatening. Every moment of every day, we dictate by our choices. And like I said earlier, the Bible outlines it as that we don't battle against flesh and blood, but spirits and principalities of the air. And I think that's the enemy or the devil or evil, however you want to say it. I think they're all the same.
Yeah. I guess that part for me that I'm still grappling with is this idea. Is I get
it's
the
hard.
idea.
It's hard to wrap your mind around. I get it.
Like this spirit or this energy that we can receive, that we can create, that we can pass on, and like maybe we can be hurt or harmed or unwell in some way, and that can cause us to react and respond and in not so great behaviors and actions that can cause harm and more pain to other people. And I think some people would label that as evil. And I guess I have a hard time labeling that as evil in a person, because I feel like it's created in us given certain experiences, or you know what I mean? Like I feel like, and I don't know if that's just a misplaced compassion, or a misunderstanding of the breadth of how evil can manifest, I guess.
I think it's both. I think we need to have compassion because we all, I think, can have act in an evil sort of a way without even realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
And, let me just give you an example. Um, I'm a mom. I have lots of hopes and dreams for my children. So, in my attempt to guide their hopes and dreams the way I think they should go, I could potentially do evil things. Does that make sense? Their purpose, their plan, their place that God is taking them could be different than my plan for them. So if I try to hinder them in any way, not intentionally because I love them, I've planned, I've done this extra work so that they could have this open door, unintentionally, I'm becoming a negative or an evil spot for them or an opportunity for them to be distracted away from what God has from them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think sometimes we do that unintentionally out of right motives, wrong action.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why it's important that we seek God first to guide us in all of those things. With my girls, I had to realize, you know what? If I really believe that God created them and loved them, do I not believe that He loved them even more than me? And that His love and purpose and plan for them is probably even greater than my plan for them? And so my role then is to continue to pray for them that they would pursue the fullness of their potential, the fullness of the purpose that God has for them, and to come alongside them and help them to discern the rights and the lefts and not try to dictate what those need to look like.
Yeah.
That is how I can come along and be a part of a good and be a partner with them and help them say, you know what, have you thought about this? Have you not? Oh, did you realize how this thing affected you? Because sometimes people can't see for themselves. And that's why we're in relationship together. And I think that's why God puts us together in the family units that He does, is so that we can not guide, not dictate, but help to navigate one
Mm-hmm.
another, encourage one another, and bring wisdom for as we all pursue our purpose.
Yeah. Molly Walker asks, how can compassion ever be misplaced?
Uh,
Go ahead.
no, you go ahead. I've been talking, so you take it. You answer first.
I'm the one who said it. Or asked it. How can compassion ever be misplaced? Do you have a response to it?
I do.
Okay, can we hear it? Because
Sure.
Yeah, go for it.
Sure. Compassion, I think, is necessary. It's an amazing thing that God created us all with. But I think compassion can be taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
And when our compassion is taken advantage of, then it becomes misplaced. And I'll give you an example. Boy, our family has lots of examples. You guys are going to be sick of hearing about my family. Um, our world is dictated a lot by money, resources, things that we feel like we need to have. But if we provide a place for people to not have to move forward and to become mature in what they can do, like I'll give you an example. My one of my daughters needed a financial help. I'm happy to do that the first time. So when they come back again, asking for the same financial help, my question is, well, what happened last time? And okay, so if I help again, then for me, then there needs to be a plan in place so that we're not at this crossroads again. Because here's what's happening. As much as I have compassion for them, I want them to be successful. I want them to move out and to do the things that they want to do and be in a position where they can be who God's called them to be. If I'm not allowing them to walk through the hard stuff and the easy stuff, then I'm not allowing them to experience the things that they need to experience.
Right.
So that could be misguided compassion. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, I think to some degree that's that, right? But I think it's all kind of about like how you label that, because I don't know that the compassionate thing would to be to keep saving them, right? Like I don't think that would be compassion.
You keep saving them would be compassion?
Not compassion.
Yeah, I agree. Keep saving them is not compassion, but it can be misstrued. Even if they say to me, and I've had this happen, well, I thought you were a Christian. Why wouldn't you help me do this or that? Or, whatever it might be. And I'm like, well, I've been helping you do this for 6 months and nothing's changed. That's not compassion anymore. That's enablement. And
Yeah.
so I think there has to be a distinction. Now we're talking, and then there's lots of kinds of compassion. Now I'm the first one to get in there and help build a house. I'm the first one to go out and clean my neighbor's yard when they're 86 years old and can't be outside and do their own yard work anymore. I'm the first person to run around to the grocery store to people who can't get out. And that to me is compassion in a positive light and an empowering light and a servitude kind of a passion.
Yeah.
Compassion.
So many things. I feel like we have
So many things.
I know. I feel like I'm like, what did we talk about? What didn't we talk about?
Yeah.
Like over 45 minutes in already.
Are we really?
I know, which means like we're
Done. Okay.
we're supposed
Okay.
to end, whatever
Yeah.
that means.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think I think it all comes down to, like, at least for me, and it's just coming to understand. I think I am less. I think sometimes my challenge in hearing people, it's again, we're just labeling things differently. It's like for me to label something evil seems like I have to, like, I don't label much evil, if anything, right?
Yeah.
So in doing that, though, I don't know. I just think that's the thing that I find curious. Sometimes I think that's a really great thing about me, and sometimes I wonder if I'm just like fooling myself.
Look, keep in mind anything that people do outside of like something horrific, like I don't know what, I don't want to throw any of that out there, but most people aren't evil. They're not
Right.
evil. Even if they do crappy things, they're not evil. And so to label them evil would be wrong. Now, but sometimes the things that they do can be disturbing. They can even be borderline evil. But that's an opportunity, I think, to not be offended, to not like put in your 2 cents unless you're asked and they really want to hear from you. But it's an opportunity to prayerfully stand in the gap for them and to encourage them on the positive side of it, away from the thing that's distracting them or keeping them away. But it's not you're evil. I'm never going to talk to you. We're never going to be around you. I don't think you're, whatever. That's not good.
Yeah. Well, and I think that sometimes things that maybe I've heard wrong. I think, sometimes sometimes we've had, or sometimes I've had this problem with more maybe conservative thinking Christians, some
Yep.
more conservative thinking Christians that will label a lot of things evil, including me.
Yep.
And because of my understanding of, or the way that I use evil or not use evil, I'm like, no, I'm not that.
You're not that.
In their understanding, maybe I am, and maybe that's not.
Well, let me tell you, that's not what the Bible says.
Right, but it could be just them. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you say that you're a Christian and you're seeking after God, that's your standard.
Right.
So if they are saying that you're evil, then they're not reading their Bible.
Yeah.
So, my 2 cents.
No, thank you for saying that. I know a lot of folks would love to hear that. For sure. So much to talk about. I feel like we might need a continuation next week, or we were considering talking about prayer next week. So maybe we'll ask folks in the comments what they would like for us to talk more about this, or to go into the next topic, or who knows.
Yeah, if you guys have more questions or things that we didn't talk about, or if we prompted anything, put it here. We'll readdress it next week. If not, we'll go on to something else.
Awesome. Tina Johnson says forgiveness.
Forgiveness is good.
Right?
We talked a lot about that last season and the first season.
Yeah, it's a great topic. And speaking
of
forgiveness, September or Labor Day weekend. So this last weekend was the way I feel as our anniversary of when we really when I opened myself up to being in relationship with you.
Yeah, that is true.
And to, I guess, offer forgiveness and to receive. I don't know, because it's so hard, because I mean, at that time I felt like I needed to forgive you, but I've come to understand things a little bit differently. But at that time, it was definitely a time when I felt like I needed to afford you forgiveness and ask for forgiveness of you. And that was 3 years ago. Can you believe that?
Wow, I can't believe it. Well, time flies when we're having fun, right?
I know, right? Well, in September 14th, I think, was the day of our first episode of Splintered Grace. So,
Oh, was it really? I didn't even equate that. See, you're
yeah,
so much better at this stuff than I am.
I didn't either. Actually, the LinkedIn said, I
Oh,
have
it's LinkedIn. Thank goodness.
a year anniversary with Splintered Grace. And then I was like, oh, well, let me look back. And I looked at our first episode and it said September 14th. So
Wow.
we are coming up on a year with this podcast.
That is awesome. That is awesome. It's amazing, actually.
It's super, super. And we're so glad to those who have been with us along the way and the new ones that'll hopefully join us. We do have to say goodbye for tonight.
Yep. Good night, everybody.
So have a great night, and we'll see you next week on Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thanks so much. Take care, and bye-bye.
Good night.
Splintered Grace Podcast is brought to you by a queer chaplain. Follow us on all of our social media, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at a queer chaplain. Listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe, comment, like, and share. Feel free to tip us at Venmo, Bonnie Violet, and support monthly on Patreon. The song is original by Steven Sandnoff, The Chasm Between Us. Rest in peace, Steven. Hey, how's it going? Bonnie Violet here. I'm a trans femme, genderqueer, spiritual drag artist, and digital chaplain. And in case you didn't know, I could really use your support. Engage, rate, subscribe, follow, comment, share this episode, book me to keynote, panel, guest on your show, or officiate your wedding or memorial, in or out of drag, collaborate, join the team, be a guest, make a pitch, sponsor an episode, join my Patreon, send me a tip on Venmo or PayPal. Just do something. Thank you so much for your continued support. Check out the links in the description.